There's something moving down there. Something's in that water. Every hair on my arm is straight up right now.
That's what caught my eye, was this shape, kind of the depth, and then that, which almost looked like toes digging in, right?
Almost gripping.
The team followed Bigfoot's tracks, and it almost cost them everything. The strange echoing sound in the forest wasn't a harmless curiosity, it was a warning, and ignoring it turned out to be the biggest mistake these researchers could make. Driven by excitement, they ventured deeper into forbidden woods, unaware of what lay ahead. The danger grew with every step until they realized they weren't the hunters anymore. They were the prey. Tune in, because the nightmare, it's just beginning and the darkest horrors are yet to be revealed. The terrifying reality of Bigfoot sightings. Doug Teague from Hickory, North Carolina. In August 2019, Doug headed into the woods near his home to check on his trail cameras. He had his dog, Crazy Daisy, tagging along. It was supposed to be just a regular day. But as Doug walked deeper, the forest seemed unnaturally quiet. It was almost like nature itself was holding its breath. Then he heard it, a rhythmic knocking sound echoing through the trees.
Nervous, heart beating, it was crazy.
It didn't sound natural, it was deliberate, like something or someone was trying to get his attention. Doug froze. Crazy Daisy growled. A shadow moved, something was there. What happened next was unbelievable. As he watched, the creature began to move. It turned its massive body, sending chills down his spine. Then, without warning, it started throwing rocks in his direction. The stones landed dangerously close, as if the creature was giving a warning, "Get out." Doug knew it was time to leave, but he couldn't stop filming. With his camera rolling, Doug captured every second of the terrifying encounter. The message from the creature was clear: he wasn't welcome there. He returned to the spot later, and what he found only deepened the mystery. Giant footprints were pressed into the earth, much larger than those of any human or known animal. Doug knew he had stumbled upon something big, and he made casts of those prints to prove it. Some people called it the Sister Lakes creature, while others thought it could be a variation of Bigfoot, perhaps the eastern Bigfoot. An expert even claimed that the creature Doug saw could have been over 15 feet tall. It was a bold claim, but the evidence pointed in that direction. Of course, not everyone was convinced. There were skeptics who said the prints in the video were just tricks of the environment, illusions caused by shadows and imagination. But others believed Doug's story. The video footage sparked debates, and people couldn't help but wonder if this was finally proof of Bigfoot's existence. The mystery doesn't end there. From the icy slopes of Everest to the forests of Illinois, there have been strange discoveries that make you question what's really out there. Back in 1951, a legendary discovery was made on Mount Everest. Explorer Eric Shipton found a massive footprint in the snow, 13 inches long, high up at 19,000 feet. The conditions were harsh, freezing, and almost impossible for any known creature to survive in. Yet there it was, a perfect mark in the snow. Shipton knew he had found something remarkable, and the photograph he took became iconic, sparking years of debate about what could have made such a print. In 2015, deep in the forests of northern Illinois, a man searching for mushrooms stumbled upon something eerie.
Looks like it's holding some water. Huh?
A massive footprint, 12 inches wide, pressed into the soft ground. Part of the print seemed to be missing, almost as if something had taken a bite out of it. He filmed the scene and shared it online, where it quickly became a topic of heated debate. People questioned the authenticity, but the mystery only grew. And then there's Lee Brickley, a passionate Bigfoot enthusiast who ventured into the Cannock Chase Forest in Staffordshire, England in 2021. Known for strange occurrences, the forest held secrets that Lee was determined to uncover. He found enormous footprints, each about 41 centimeters long, far too large for any local animal. A month later, Lee returned and discovered something even more chilling. A deer, its throat torn open, deep bite marks on its body. It was a gruesome sight, suggesting that something dangerous was out there. These stories, from North Carolina to California, from Everest to England, all raised the same question. Could Bigfoot really be out there, hiding in the shadows? Are these creatures real, or are they just figments of our imagination? For those who have come face to face with these beings, the answer seems clear. The evidence keeps piling up. Footprints, sightings, eerie sounds in the night. The line between myth and reality keeps getting blurrier, and maybe that's the point. Maybe some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Just as the echoes of past encounters started to fade, a new incident would thrust them right back into the center of the unknown. Bigfoot encounter. Deep in the woods. Across the ocean in the UK, a nature lover named Woods lived quietly in a forest seeking peace. One day he returned to find his shelter completely destroyed. He reviewed his security camera footage, expecting to see a deer or maybe some local kids. Instead, he saw a large, shadowy figure moving swiftly through the area, tearing through his shelter with ease. It wasn't something he could explain away easily, and it left him with more questions than answers. Woods wasn't the only one to have a strange encounter. A hunter in the same area managed to capture footage of a massive, monkey-like creature moving between the trees. The experts who analyzed the footage confirmed that there were no signs of tampering, which only fueled the ongoing debate. Could these creatures be real, hidden away in the wild, or were these just cases of mistaken identity? In 2022, footage surfaced from Idaho showing a large, muscular figure standing alone in the night. It was taken with a night vision camera.
I can hear something moving down there.
And the creature moved slightly before disappearing into the darkness. The video seemed real, not staged, and people couldn't help but wonder if this was finally the proof they'd been waiting for. Was this really Bigfoot, or just another clever trick? The debate raged on, but the mystery only deepened. To understand why people are so fascinated by Bigfoot, you have to look back at its history. In 1967, Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin filmed what many believe to be the first video of the creature near Bluff Creek in California. The footage shows a large, hairy figure with a long stride. At one point, it looks back at the camera before disappearing into the woods. This figure, now called Patty, has become a symbol of Bigfoot sightings worldwide. The fascination with Bigfoot has only grown over the years, with more and more people determined to find out the truth. Expeditions have been launched, research teams have ventured into the deepest woods, and technology has been used to track any potential signs of the creature. Drones have flown over forests, and motion-activated cameras have been placed in remote locations, all in the hopes of capturing something definitive. In the summer of 2023, a group of researchers set out to explore the thick forests of the Pacific Northwest. They had all the latest gear, from thermal cameras to audio recording devices. The team was convinced that if Bigfoot was real, they were going to be the ones to prove it. They set up camp in a remote part of the forest, miles away from any roads or towns. The first few days were quiet. The researchers spent their time setting up cameras, tracking trails, and listening for any unusual sounds. But on the third night, something strange happened. A low, guttural noise echoed through the trees, a sound that none of them had ever heard before. It was deep, almost like a growl, and it seemed to come from somewhere close by. The team members exchanged uneasy glances, their excitement mixed with fear. They knew they were not alone. They found evidence that something had been near their camp during the night. Large footprints were pressed into the soft ground, each one nearly twice the size of a human foot. The prints led away from the camp, disappearing into the thick underbrush. The team followed the trail for hours, their anticipation growing with every step. They knew they were getting closer. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the atmosphere grew tense. The trees seemed to close in around them, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth. The further they went, the more they felt like they were being watched. Then they saw it. A massive figure partially hidden behind the trees, standing still as if observing them. It was covered in dark, matted fur, its eyes barely visible in the shadows. The creature moved, stepping back into the shadows, and just like that, it was gone. The researchers stood in stunned silence, barely able to comprehend what they had just seen. They knew they had to document it, to share their experience, but there was also a sense of dread. They had come face to face with something unknown, something that most people only hear about in stories. They made their way back to camp, their excitement replaced by a feeling of unease. That night, the sounds returned. The growls, the knocking on trees, the rustling of branches. It felt like they were surrounded, like something was warning them to leave. The team members barely slept, their nerves on edge. By morning, they had made a decision. It was time to go. The journey back to civilization was filled with a mix of emotions. They had set out to find Bigfoot and they had succeeded, but at a cost. The encounter had shaken them, made them question whether some mysteries were better left unsolved. They had the footage, the recordings, the footprints, but they also had the memories of those tense nights in the forest, memories that would stay with them forever. The moment you think you've left the fear behind, it finds a way to haunt you again, lurking at the edge of your thoughts. The lingering effects of the unknown. The fascination with Bigfoot is more than just a search for a mysterious creature. It's a reflection of our desire to explore the unknown, to find something beyond the ordinary. It's about the thrill of the chase, the idea that there are still secrets in the world waiting to be uncovered. Whether Bigfoot is real or just a legend, the search itself is what keeps people going, what drives them to venture into the deep, dark woods and face the unknown. The stories, the sightings, the evidence, they all add up to something that can't be easily dismissed. There is a reason why people keep looking, why they keep believing. Maybe it's because deep down, we all want to believe that there is still some magic left in the world, that there are still mysteries out there that haven't been solved. And maybe, just maybe, Bigfoot is one of those mysteries. When it comes to Bigfoot, the stories just never seem to stop. You've got folks who swear they've seen it, heard it, or even followed it, only to say they regretted every single second of it. Chasing after Bigfoot might sound like a wild adventure, something you do for the thrill, the mystery, the fame. But let's be real for a second. Sometimes that curiosity leads you right into a nightmare that sticks around way longer than you'd like. Every little crack, every rustle has your senses on edge. At first, it's thrilling. You're out there hunting for something that most people think is just a myth. But then something changes. The feeling shifts and suddenly you're not the hunter anymore. You're the one being watched. And that feeling doesn't just go away when you get back to your car or your campsite. It lingers, it follows you home, and it makes you question whether chasing Bigfoot was ever worth it. The aftermath of a Bigfoot encounter isn't just about what happens in the woods, it's about what happens to your mind afterward. Some of these folks end up with a kind of anxiety that's hard to shake. Sudden noises make them jump. Shadows make their hearts race. It's like they're still out there in the forest, stuck in that moment of fear. It's not easy to explain to people who haven't been through it. Friends and family might say, "Oh, you just saw a bear," or "It's all in your head." But for the ones who've had that experience, it feels very real, and that lack of support can make everything worse. Back in 1994, Freeman, who used to be a Forest Service ranger, caught what he claimed was Bigfoot on camera in Oregon. The footage was grainy, like every good Bigfoot video, but it showed this big, shadowy figure moving between the trees.
Oh, there he goes.
The whole thing shook him up. Sure, he was obsessed with proving Bigfoot was real, but the ridicule that came with it was brutal. People in his town just rolled their eyes, calling it another hoax. But for Freeman, it was real, and that moment stuck with him, not just the thrill of seeing it, but the frustration of nobody believing him. It left a mark on him, and he ended up more isolated because of it. That's the thing with these Bigfoot hunters. Once you've had that kind of experience, it's hard to just walk away. A lot of them feel like they've got something to prove, not just to the world, but to themselves. It becomes almost compulsive. They've got to go back out there to find more proof, even though each new trip just brings more fear and more questions. It's like they're trapped in this loop, always searching, never finding the closure they're looking for. But dealing with the aftermath is tough, especially when you're scared. People will laugh at you. Some of these folks have found ways to cope. Therapy helps some of them, giving them tools to manage the fear and ground themselves in reality without dismissing what they've been through. Others have found comfort in support groups, places where they can talk about their encounters with people who actually get it. There they find people who understand, who won't just tell them they're imagining things. It helps, but the scars don't always go away. The impact of a Bigfoot encounter sticks around. It changes how they see the world. The forest isn't just a place of beauty or adventure anymore, it's a place that holds something unknown, something that could be out there, just beyond what you can see. For some, the search continues, but it's no longer just about excitement. It's about facing that fear, dealing with the unanswered questions, and trying to make sense of something that might never be fully explained. The quest for Bigfoot becomes more than just looking for a mythical creature. It's about confronting the limits of what we know and dealing with the fear of what we don't. Some people are drawn back to that mystery, willing to face whatever's out there no matter the cost. But others decide it's just not worth it anymore. They put away the cameras, the maps, and the gear, choosing instead to keep a safe distance from the places where the unknown might be waiting. And honestly, who can blame them? The search for Bigfoot isn't just about what's out there in the woods, it's about what's inside our own minds. And sometimes that's the scariest part of all. The fascination with Bigfoot has always been driven by a mix of thrill-seeking and the allure of the unknown. People are naturally drawn to mysteries, and the idea that something large, hidden, and maybe intelligent could be out there sparks a kind of primal curiosity. It's the same urge that leads people to explore caves, climb mountains, or dive into the deepest parts of the ocean. The difference is, with Bigfoot, it's not just the environment you have to contend with, it's the possibility of a creature that might be just as curious about you as you are about it. And that's where things get complicated. A lot of the people who chase after Bigfoot start out as skeptics. They think, sure, it's probably just a bear, or maybe it's all made up. But then something happens. They see a footprint that's too big to be human, or they hear a sound that doesn't match any animal they know. And suddenly they're hooked. That's how it starts. Just a small piece of evidence that seems off. Something that makes them question what they know. And once you start questioning, it's hard to stop. The mystery becomes something you need to solve, and before long, you're deep in the woods with a camera and a flashlight, looking for answers. But the woods are unforgiving, and the deeper you go, the stranger things get. There are stories of people who've gotten lost for hours, even days, while chasing what they thought was Bigfoot. They'll catch a glimpse of something moving between the trees, and without thinking, they'll follow it. The forest is disorienting, everything looks the same, and before you know it, you're miles from where you started with no idea how to get back. And that's when the fear sets in. It's not just about finding Bigfoot anymore. It's about surviving, about getting back to safety. Could Bigfoot be closer than we think, hiding right beyond our reach? Leave your comment below, and if you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.